who are still in the hunt in the final round, which sounds like a lot, but most of them need a lot of luck for anything to really make the championship go their way. The two that you really want to keep your eye on are Brandon Chibirko, who's leading the points, and Rod Flagg, who's sitting in second, 6 points behind. Those are our two guys that are most likely to win it today. Not terribly far back are Rodney Wofford in third at 13 points back, and then Donnie Giartano in fourth at 16 points back, as well as Frank Busilia III sitting in fifth at 18 points back. Those guys can still make it happen, but it's really going to take some bad races from both Brandon and Rod and their other closer competitors, and some really good races from them. Obviously, a win would do them best. Well, if you look a little bit farther down, you've got Shane McEachin in sixth and Greg Hooks in seventh. They are 32 and 36 points back each, respectively. Those guys, they're going to have to hope that there are lucky stars flying, that they've got horseshoes tucked in their pockets, and just about everything possible, because their competitors are basically going to have to wreck out early on, and they are going to have to win or just have a phenomenal race to hope to try and win this championship. Everybody else from there on down has no chance whatsoever. They're just in it for the win today. And we've had 7 different winners in the season, Richard. So there's still a few guys out there that are probably looking to add to their tally.
Exactly. And I do notice, Joe, that Mark Jorgensen is back. Evan, you will remember the race where Mark Jorgensen really was doing well and then had some very bad luck and basically quit the race in a rage. So he's back tonight, and let's see what he can do.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see him come back here for the final race, much like we saw with the All-Star race. You get a couple of names in here that you haven't seen in the past few weeks. The rumor going around right now, and race control is discussing, guys, Brandon Chibirko, and this is one of the things that you have to deal with when you're doing sim racing. Brandon Chibirko cannot connect to the sim. He disconnected, cannot reconnect, so they may delay the start of this race.
Wow. Now, Joe, that's exactly what we were talking about. There's less than 30 seconds to go before the start of the race, and here we have the points leader not able to join the server.
Yeah, in fact, it's looking like that's exactly what they're doing. I see a lot of drivers disconnecting right now, so I think we might have a delayed start here.
Okay, that's going to change things up for us here at GSRC a little bit. We might need to find out what exactly is going to happen. So perhaps, Evan, yourself, you can hop in there where if we can find Rod Flagg and find out what's happening.
Yeah, and it sounds like what they're going to do, and all the other drivers were in agreement, is Rod, obviously the league administrator, and talking with all the drivers here in the sim, letting them know that Brandon could not connect. And I think all the drivers were pretty much in consensus that they should go out and try to put a new room up to see if that can help Chibirko's connection, because and that really shows the the sportsmanship here, because that could easily give one of these guys the championship, but they all agreed that they want it to be a fair fight. So it looks like they're going to have to throw a new sim up here, and we'll be delayed for a little bit.
All right, well, if that is indeed the case, as we see in this particular session, the pace car is actually on track at the moment. If that's not going to happen, we best take a short break and come back once we are ready to race.
Joe, I want you to go live. I'm gonna put the mic on, and then I'm just gonna duck the music, and I just want you to explain how much longer it's gonna be. All right, stand by hot mic. And hot mic.
Hey folks, we are on a rain delay of sorts after some technical problems in the last session, so we are getting ready to come back in about 6 minutes. We will have the green flag, so we will be back in a moment with the final round.
Good, thank you. I got a picture up. Yeah. Hey, Jack.
Welcome back to the iSuperSpeedway series, folks. We had a really interesting situation develop here, and in a great display of wonderful sportsmanship, we had to wait for the organizers to create a new session. To tell us what actually happened there, we've got Jared Haggerty with us. Jared, go ahead and tell the viewers what actually happened here.
Well, there was a group consensus on the track because Brandon Chaburko was not able to connect to the server. So due to the fact that he was leading the points and this is the final race, we decided it was best to go ahead and start a new server.
Fantastic sportsmanship, Jared. I really take my hat off to the organizers of the race, and thank you for that, for taking time out from your warm-up and speaking to us.
No problem, guys. I hope you have a good race, and thank y'all for broadcasting this season. Hope to have another great season next year.
Thanks very much. Well, folks, we will take another short break, and we will be back once we see the pace car on track and bring you all the action in what I feel is going to just be a fantastic race. Hopefully, Brandon Chaburko, Joe, has managed to connect here.
Yeah, hopefully. We'll see and find out in a moment.
Well, they are busy warming up, so we'll be back very soon. Welcome back, folks. We are just about ready to start this race. And Evan, what a good sportsmanship move there from the organizers to wait and allow the championship leader to join when he couldn't join earlier on in the other session.
Yeah, Rod Flag, and we spoke to some of the drivers, and they said that it was a general consensus among all the drivers, but it was really good, especially to see Rod Flag, who is the league organizer and all that. And if Brandon Chaburko, if they raced without him and we were green right now, that would put Rod Flag in the championship lead, and he could easily walk away with this trophy. So it really was a great display of sportsmanship to see all the drivers kind of agree that, no, we want to have to race this thing out the way it was meant to be, and to have Brandon in this sim. So they threw up a new session, and it's going to be an even playing field.
Well, I tell you what, not a lot of people would have done that, but Rod Flag did it, and we will talk about that at the end of the race. Hopefully things work out for him and for Brandon, because they really, Joe, are the only two that can, we think will be able to win this thing today. But the pace car is on track at the moment, and they are gridding up. So why don't we have a look at the grid, Joe?
Absolutely. Frank Busilia is going to be starting on pole in the number 94. On the outside of the front row is Jared Haggerty in the number 57, followed by Mark Jorgensen Jr. in third. Then we've got Chris Jennings on the outside of row 2 and fourth. Larry Camp starts in fifth, Dennis Wright in sixth, and Doug Sigmund in seventh. After him, it's Rodney Wofford starting in the 8th position, then Kent Connolly in 9th, and rounding out the 5th row is Brandon Shabirko.
Go ahead, Evan.
Josh Hanner, the number 5 car, he'll start on the inside of row 6. That's going to be the number 11 starting position. Jimmy Tolliver alongside him in 12th. Ray Rittenauer, the second, is going to be starting 13th. Rod Flag, who sits second in the championship standings, he'll be back in the number 14 position. Mark Brown, 15th. Sean Turner in the number 16 spot. Tommy Hall, the number 4 car, will be starting in 17th. Dana Osborne, 18th. And row 10 going to be Dan Harrington in 19th. Jimmy Todd's going to round out the top 20.
And there are a couple more to talk about. Ron Thompson in 21st place and Shane McKeechan in 22nd. So that's the full field today, 22 cars. The pace car is circulating around the track right now. Just real quick, Evan, the strategy and the situation with quick fixes today.
Yeah, like every week, these guys are going to have 2 quick fixes, but the key is don't race like you have them. You can't go out there and be crazy and think that you could afford to come down and get repaired twice. Again, iRacing, you don't get the choice to when you get your quick repairs. So if you get a little bit of damage, you come down, that's going to take one of your full car repairs away from you. So you really don't want to race like you have those in your back pocket. You want to play it smart and be around there when we get to the end of these 47 laps, rather, to be in contention for this win.
Well, the pace car is on the back stretch at the moment. They will come into NASCAR 3 very soon, and we will get a start to this race. Joe, Brandon Chaburko, we want to keep an eye on him. He's in 10th place, and of course, Rod Flag in 14th place, even further back.
Yeah, those are our 2 championship contenders, and they've got a lot to watch out for. We have seen, clean races earlier in the season, but it's not something that I would count on if I was them. They've got to be extra careful. They've got to really keep their heads up, and if they see anything brewing up ahead, they really need to be ready to take evasive action.
And the pace car is coming through NASCAR 4 at the moment. It will duck off into the pit area, and this race will get a start. Of course, we know that they only can go on the green, Evan, and the green is quite a ways back from the pit entry.
Yeah, the pace car comes down, and they're going to have to cycle through about this whole trial before we get that green flag, and then we'll set them off 2 wide down into 1.
And we are getting ready for a start. We should see the green flag any second now, and there the green flag goes. Frank Busilia in charge of the race. He's on the inside, goes has a good start there. Jared Haggerty, who we spoke to earlier on his outside. Behind him, we do have Mark Jorgensen, and settling into the start of this race. 2 lanes as we come to expect, and guys on the outside already pushing hard to make sure that they stay in contention. The leader still Frank Busilia at this point in time. And a great race. Let's have a look and see where Brandon Chaburko is, Joe.
Right now, Brandon Shabirko is just sitting behind the number 7 of Rodney Wofford trying to follow, and we've got a car up high just ahead of him. Looks like that's Dennis Wright going up, and he's already going 3 wide on the first lap. Everybody tries to have a little bit of a wobble to give themselves some space. That is not the way I think he wanted to start this thing.
Absolutely not. I mean, he went 3 wide through the middle, and the car on his left, I didn't actually see who that was, had to duck down immediately to avoid contact. And in fact, there was a little touch, but nothing much to talk about. The other one, Evan, of course, is Rod Flagg. Where's he at?
Well, Rod Flagg was just 3 wide going to the inside of Dennis right there through the tri-oval, and he'll get back in line. The 54 is going to push him as Rod sits up on the outside lane. He's about 9th position as he runs right now. Looks like Kent Connolly is going to get by him on the inside, the 8 of Dana Osborne as well. So Rod really needs that push from the 54. He's losing a lot of time up top. He'll drop to about 13th or 14th, I'd say.
Well, about the 10 cars in front of him, they're all pretty much single file at the moment. Now we see the second lane forming on the outside. And on the outside there, I'm having a look. Mark Jorgensen is pushing Frank Busilia at this point in the 94 car. And behind them, we've got the 57 of Jared Haggerty, then Rodney Wofford. On the Rodney Wofford's gone to the outside just ahead of him. The 57 of Jared Haggerty, they are pushing hard, making a move on the 94 right now, Joe.
I am looking at Shabirko, who is extremely dicey coming down the front stretch before, as there was 2 rows starting to form up, and he was trying to figure out which one was the best one. Now it looks like he might be going 3 wide again. Nope, he ducks back down at the last second, decides better of it right now. He's sitting behind the number 33 of Larry Camp, just kind of pushing him along and trying to get things sorted out. This is the wildest I've seen as he dives up a row once again, almost chops off the number 088. This is the most unorganized I've seen the rows in the whole time I've watched this series.
Well, that's true. Brandon Shabirko is making his intentions clear here, Evan. He wants to be in amongst that top 5 or so cars, and looks like he's already done that. He's currently in 6th place. No, he's in 5th place, although the 23, or what is that, the 33 of Larry Camp is on his inside. But he's certainly making his intentions pretty clear.
And Shabirko has never been afraid to go 3 wide, so it's not surprising to see him making aggressive moves. But everybody else really is getting real physical out there. They're kind of, jumping out of line and stuff, really not holding the straightest of lines. They're all being very aggressive. They all want to be able to get that trip to victory lane if they haven't got a win yet on the season, this being the final race. So the intensity level is up. The 088 machine's going to go to the bottom. That's going to be Chris Jennings. He'll get to the inside of Brandon Shabirko. So Shabirko's actually starting to slide back. It looks like the car that's going to have to help him is going to be that 8 machine of Dana Osborne, who closes into his back bumper down into 3.
Well, I tell you who's pretty steady and out front at the moment, and that is Frank Busilia III. He is in 1st place right now with on the outside the 57 and the number 7 making a move through the tri-oval. They come down and bobble a little bit there, the Rodney Wofford on the 7, and now they look like they've taken over the lead. But I have to say Frank Busilia missed the steadiness at this point in time.
And it looks like Jared Haggerty chops down to the bottom as he decides he wants to take the lead. Oh, and he gets a little bit of a tip from Busilia, but holds it together. So everybody is able to hold on to it. But the interesting thing in all of this is watching Rod Flagg still sitting back in 10th. He's just kind of doing his thing he's been doing all season. Early in the race, he's just content to chill in the middle of the pack, which surprises me because that's a dangerous place to be, but he always seems to make it work early to mid-race.
That is correct. Rod Flagg is certainly racing as he usually does with some smarts. And bear in mind, this is a 47-lap race, 125 miles. Plenty of time. We're only on lap number 6. Plenty of time to make moves. And we've seen him come out on top or near the top towards the end of a race. Bearing in mind, Evan, they do have to make a pit stop. They're not going to get 47 laps, even with a caution or 2 on this track. So definitely a pit stop required. So plenty of time for the guys who are thinking while they're driving.
Yeah, when you talk about Rod Flag, again, when you think of the three at Chaburko,
Oh,
you think how he
trouble,
nearly got
trouble.
more contact there, yeah, with Larry Camp. So that's Chaburko. He's aggressive. When you think Rod Flag, just like Joe said, he's calm. He just rides it inside. He really is a dark horse because he minds his own business. We get a lot of sliding going on. The top six rather, are 3 rows deep, bumper to bumper. It is Rodney Wofford at the line, guys, but they're getting real squirrely up front, real aggressive for the number 1 spot.
Well, bearing in mind, folks, this is the final race of the season. Everyone wants to do the very best they can, and I suspect that we will see a caution or two before the end of this race, judging by what we have seen so far. But good racing. We are on lap 8, no caution at this point in time, and some really good, although a little messy racing from the front guys and the guys just a little further back, Joe.
Yeah, we almost forgot about Rodney Wofford. He is 3rd in the championship, and he's only 13 points back as he almost gets close to touching Busilia again in the Tri-Oval. So he's doing exactly what he needs to do to try and get this championship. He is feet first into this thing to try and get out into the lead as, I thought for a second we were going to go 3 wide up at the front. So don't count out Rodney Wofford. He's still a little bit, you mentioned a dark horse before, still a little bit of a dark horse, but he's not out of it by any means, being already up in the front.
Absolutely not, as we see the number 5 car coming out on the outside now. That is Josh Hanna. He's got some scrape marks on his left panels there. Getting back to Rodney Wofford, bearing in mind, Evan, he did win the last 2 races, so he is making a statement here tonight again.
Yeah, he's doing what he needs to do. He's riding up front, which in some cases, some guys, they'll approach these super speedway races in the mindset that they want to hang back, maybe play it safe. Not that 7 machine nor the 94 of Busilia. Those two who sit 1-2 right now really need to give it, especially Frank, when you talk about how the 94, if you look at the points and how far he is back, it is not indicative of his season because, again, at the halfway point, it was the 94 with the big lead, but Frank has just not had the luck, guys, these last few weeks, and he's hoping he can at least get a solid finish to redeem that. He's going to go high on the 7, down into 3.
And the number 8 of Dana Osborne on the inside there, 3rd in line, behind the 2 guys, Frank Busilia and Rodney Wofford. I'm telling you, he had a 2nd place last week. He's doing a great job today as well. The outside line, you've got the 81 there, you've got the 08 of Chris Jennings, and of course you've got Frank Busilia in the 94 on the outside, who now takes the lead and ducks down to the inside once again to take the lead of this race.
Oh, guys, trouble.
Good.
33 of Larry Camps down on the apron. He's got some connection issues, 3 wide around him, and somehow everyone's able to hang on. That was close.
Yeah, I was seeing his car blinking in and out, and I was thinking exactly what you were, is like, ooh, this is not good. Really
right
great
in front
job.
of Rod Flag.
Yeah, great job by everybody around him, though, to just be a little bit heads up, gave him that little bit of space he needed at the bottom line, and he kind of dropped to the back.
And now the 5 decides he wants to go make it 3 wide. It's coming through the tri-oval. He goes to the outside to make it 3 wide. Maybe just getting a little bit of air at this point in time because he doesn't actually make any threatening move. Falls back into line right now. So once again, I tell you, these guys are racing very, very fiercely. But surprisingly, no cautions. And we see who was that just in front of the 088? Just got in front of him there with Dana Osborne. Dana Osborne and the guy behind him, who is that? I haven't got the number just now.
It looks like that's Shane McEachin just behind him at the moment in the number 28, trying to push him on that outside line. They might be able to get some momentum if they hook up just right. Looks like they will, and they are going to get the speed down the front stretch. But look at that number 7, Rodney Wofford jumps out in front of him, so that could ruin the momentum. Are they going to try and make it 3 wide? Nope. Oh, but we're seeing some bumping and shoving up for these top 3 drivers, and that is going to give the number 7 the momentum into the corner to be chopped down low. Oh! Some smoke is almost, he takes out Frank Busilia. This is the feistiest I've seen these guys, and managed to keep the green flag this whole time, and he gets
and there we have
turned.
the first caution of the day. The 7 and the 8 coming together there, right there, and that'll bring out the first caution for the day, no doubt, Evan.
Oh my
Rod
goodness.
Flag is able to get through it, and so is Brandon Chaburko. So those championship guys are able to avoid that one. But we saw that one coming for a little while. The 8 and the 28, they were trying to go high, Joe, and you said they had to pull in line because the way they were going through the trial, but they just couldn't get up high enough when Rodney Wofford jumped out in front of them. And it looked like the 7 and the 8 made some contact. That got the 8 loose, and that hooked those guys up into the outside wall. The 5 gets some damage from it as well. Everybody else, thankfully, they were even used that big apron, and some of the guys were able to avoid it. It looks like the 18, maybe the 87 getting some damage as well.
Well, that was, as you said, Evan, coming for a little while there. The guys, Joe said it, they were very feisty. And, some guys have paid the price. We saw all that on replay. Indeed, it was the 7 and the 8 trying hard to improve their position, but making contact and causing that caution. So we are pacing around at the moment, and everyone will need some time to regroup. We'll see who ducks into the pits here, Joe, because this might be an opportune moment. 14 laps down out of 47 leaves us with 36 laps, just borderline, but possibly enough to finish the race on.
Yeah, it's going to be ever so tight. This is exactly what everybody didn't want. It was the kind of wreck that happened up towards, in fact, it was at the very front. And you can see on the replay, we were watching the slow-mo there a second ago, just how many cars fell victim to this thing. I see Sean Turner was involved, Larry Camp, Dennis Wright looks like he didn't quite make it through completely clean. Dan Harrington definitely caught some damage, as well as Jimmy Todd. I see Tommy Hall involved in that. Rodney Wofford, obviously one of the guys that kicked it off. Josh Hanner was involved. Dana Osborne, just an incredible amount. And many of these guys were the championship contenders.
Well, guys, talking about championship contenders, both Brandon Chaburko and Rod Flag and a bunch of other guys as well have come in, taken fuel, taken tires as well. Rod Flag certainly took tires there, and they're out again, and so they may well be thinking that they have enough fuel to finish this race, given perhaps another caution later in the race. A good move from most of the guys. Some did stay out, and that may not have been the smart move, Evan.
You had a couple guys, and they cycled through pit road from getting some damage repairs done, obviously getting caught up in that accident. But I see Frank Busilia, he is the first car that brought him down pit road. He's going to pull up behind a pace car, so it looks like all the lead lap cars did come down, and coming down at the lap 14 mark for them when they came down pit road. They should all be set for the rest of this distance and won't have to come down pit road. Another caution will definitely help them get a little bit of insurance, but they should be fine.
Yeah, well, I did see that Rod Flag got touched as he was coming out of the pits. He's got a slight damage on his right rear fender there. Shouldn't do any harm, but you were saying earlier, Evan, that if he has to come down pit road again, he will get another new car, which he might not want to have happen. But let's hope that everyone can finish now on the fuel and the tires that they have. Good move from some of the guys to take fresh tires, although it doesn't matter that much on a track this wide and this long. So that was just a bit of insurance from most of the guys there who did take tires, Joe. But when we get a restart here, it'll be on again.
Yeah, and I kind of chalk that up to, with this being caution flag stops, it's kind of like that extra insurance. Take every little edge that you can get for some of these guys. So I'm not surprised to see maybe some people trying a few little tricks to see what they can get to give them that little bit of extra speed they might need, because we know these finishes on the super speedways can be down to the millimeters at the line.
Absolutely. 10,000ths of a second in some cases. We have seen finishes like that. Mind you, we've seen that on the road as well. And we were lucky enough to be in position to broadcast that and tell the folks about it. But in this race, the 94 machine of Frank Busilia III is in the first place, and he will lead them away when they do have the restart. On his outside, Jared Hegarty in the 57 machine. Second row on the restart will be Shane McKeechan in the 28 machine, and of course Mark Jorgensen. We haven't spoken about Mark Jorgensen at all yet, Evan, but he's having a good race here today.
Yeah, he actually started in the top 3 running position, but maybe pulling a Rod Flag, just kind of being quiet tonight. So he'll restart, you said, on the outside of that 2nd row in 4th position. So he's definitely in contention for this. How about Chaburko and Rod Flag? Again, Rod Flag entering tonight 2nd in the championship standings, so he needs to get Chaburko by at least 6 positions, and then you have to factor in bonus points and whatnot. Right now, Chaburko is 6th, Rod Flag is 7th. So Rod is closing the door on Chaburko, but still needs a few more spots if he wants to be on the positive end of that.
Well, now here's an interesting thing, Joe. We've got Rod Flag behind Chaburko. So what does he do if indeed they decide to make a move? Does he push does he push Brandon Chaburko, or does he try to avoid that at all costs and try to get by him? This could spice things up a little.
Well, it looks like he's actually going to be diagonal behind him, but like you said, it could still happen that he gets hooked up with him. It's still early in the race. I don't think he's going to be thinking that far ahead because they're probably not still going to be working together by the end, but it looks like we're getting ready to go green flag racing, so we'll find out in a moment.
And the pace car ducks off down pit road, and we will have to wait for the restart. Frank Busilia, who I must say, Evan, Frank has done a great job here in the early laps, although we're now on lap 16. The green flag will fly in a second. There it goes, and Frank Busilia takes them away on his outside. Jared Haggerty, behind Jared Haggerty we have Shane McKeechan, and Rod Flag gets another touch from the guy behind him, which was Mark Brown, so he won't be too happy about that. Getting all those little damage knocks to his car won't help the car's aerodynamics at all. But we have the restart, and we have the 2 lanes forming, and once again we see, I think that's Mark Jorgensen, who squeezes down and now ducks to the inside, Evan, and goes to the inside, and now falls into line.
Yeah, Rod Flag got that clip on, well, it looks like the right rear of his car you mentioned on pit road, and just got another tap to it there. So everything counts at Talladega. These cars so aerodynamically sensitive. It looks like the top 5 are single file. The first cars up top are going to be Brandon Chaburko, who was scored 6th last time by. Scoring's going to update here, and he will lose 1 spot to 7th. He'll be working with the 44 of Ron Thompson, and here comes Rod Flag at the bottom. He's going to be door-to-door with Brandon Chaburko, sizing each other up here at a 2.
And I do believe that Brandon Chaburko is in his favorite position, leading the 2nd line of cars. He's got a useful driver, Ron Thompson, behind him. And look at them go. They're already making some moves. Now, hang on. Is he going to stay? Yes, he stays on the outside, Joe. I thought he was going to duck down there, but he decides he'll stay on the outside, which is what I would have expected him to do. But now another driver has jumped out in front of him. So his partner, the 44 of Ron Thompson, now is in a row of 3.
Yeah, that's Jared Haggerty, who popped up to the top, and now they got another one that's jumped up in front of them. This high row seems to be popular right now. That's Mark Jorgensen, who's jumped up high just behind Shane McKeechan, who is now going to be below him as they head onto the backstretch. And they are making progress and then some, just about freight training Frank Busilia on the bottom. So it's going to be Jorgensen who takes over the lead.
Absolutely, and now he ducks down in front of Frank Busilia. Frank will not like that. As they get really close, you see smoke coming up off the tires there of the 088 machine. As very, very close was the 44 car of Ron Thompson. He goes up again and gets out of the way, but now the 73 of Mark Brown slots in behind the 088. And looks like Ron Thompson slowly but surely moving backwards because he's not quite on the back bumper of Brandon Chaburko, who has teamed up by the looks of it with, is that Mark Jorgensen? And the 2 of them making a run on the outside there, Evan.
Yeah, Jimmy Tolliver is the last car on the lead lap, guys. He has lost the draft, so he's about 4+ seconds out of it. Rodney Wofford is 1 lap down. Josh Hanner is a lap down as well. So is Dana Osborne, but Dana Osborne actually backed down pit road for some sort of repair, so he may lose an additional lap from this as he rides right now in the number 21 position. We do have 1 car behind the wall. Tommy Hall is out of contention. His number 4 will finish at the back of the pack in the number 22nd spot. But that outside lane, it's moving. Jared Haggerty with help from Brandon Chaburko. He's going to get up side by side. Chaburko was 4th that time by the stripe. They have to back off each other here in the corner, but if they can push out of 2 down that back straightaway, watch that 57 peek it up with a nose on Jorgensen for the lead.
And indeed, these two are pushing hard to get to the front now. Brandon Chaburko, he is great at actually pushing. Now he ducks up for some air there by the looks of it. Falls back into line behind Jared Haggerty. And I tell you what, these guys on lap 21 are racing hard, but they're racing clean at the moment, Joe.
Yeah, it's still looking pretty clean. In fact, this is, I feel like I cursed it last time, so I'm not sure if I should say this, but they're racing very clean for this season, which has seen a number of cautions. These guys are very, very antsy, and yet everybody's managed to mostly stay out of trouble, or at least see it coming and get out of things. Jabirko, we were talking about that before the broadcast, Evan, about how much he loves that high line. Now, there's some risks with him staying up there, though.
Yeah, when you're up against that wall, if something happens, I mean, there's an incident in front of you, Joe, there's a wall next to you. There's a checkup, there's nowhere to go, so that hasn't deterred Brandon. He continues to work the outside lane. I don't think we rarely ever see him down on the bottom, so the 3 machine likes that high lane. It does give you a pretty good run off the corners, which is beneficial when he's trying to make up room through traffic, but I'll tell you, the 28 and the 57 right in front of him got pretty close there to 4.
Yeah, that's correct. We see him ducking out plenty of times to get some air. You will remember that in fact he blew up an engine in the last race. Now they're coming up on a lap car in front of them, and we've got the 2 lanes. The lap car is currently in the middle lane, so this will possibly change things up a little. We did see an accident result in the last race from exactly this situation, Evan.
Yeah, and this looks a lot more calm than we saw in the opening stint. I know Joe said it was really crazy up front. We're going to work some lap traffic. That is the 4 car of Tommy Hall. So he was behind the wall. He's now back on track, but that will be his 6th lap that he will lose. So pretty much out of all contention for any sort of position at this point. But the inside lane seems to be the most popular lane right now, and it's only those 2 cars up top at the moment, Haggerty and Chaburko, that continue to try to get through those guys up top. The 57 is side by side with Gusilia, which would be for the number 2 position, and they're going to try to get hooked up here at a 2 and take another swing at things. But other than that, again, everything's really calmed down. You see they really go low there, try to pinch that inside lane down, get some tri-draft, and the top 2 lanes are going to pull even with each other down to 3 and 4.
Yep, and checking in with Rod Flagg at the moment, who's sitting back in 8th place. Behind him, the 87 giving him some help. And on the outside there, we have the 048 machine of Sean Turner. And these guys are having a run at the moment. Sean on the outside, just shy of Rod Flagg there at the moment. Pretty cool, pretty nice racing. The 44 of Ron Thompson applying the push that is required for Sean Turner to get up there. And now we have 2 lanes starting, and they're not one out at the moment. There's 2 solid lanes there, Joe.
Yeah, I was just kind of watching that start to form up. We've got a number of guys, like the number 44 is out there, the number 048, all trying to see if they can get something going and help these guys up at the front.
Trouble.
Oh, number 088 is up into the wall.
Wow,
Everybody else
and the
is gonna
number
get
5
by.
managed to squeeze through there. Rod immediately went down to the apron, or almost on the apron. They still running in green flag mode. Now we see the 7 going 3 wide, coming through the middle. He's got a car in front of him, balking him for the run. He goes to the inside, manages to get away with that, passes the car, and whoa, that was some pretty risky stuff happening there.
And it ain't over yet behind them as the number 5 continues to slide back. Now they finally get 2 rows deep. As they were 3 wide for a moment behind them as well. And that was Sean Turner, I believe. No, he's the 048, excuse me. That's Dan Harrington. Excuse me, Josh Hanner. I'm going to get it right one of these days. Josh Hanner, who was sliding backwards there, was going 3 wide with a number of guys, but he is recovered. And that was the number 088 of Chris Jennings. Oh, we got a spin.
We have a car going really, really wide off onto the apron, coming back. I think that's the 87.
That's Ray Rittenauer, and he comes back on in the tri-oval under control, had to go through the grass, but he still no caution after 2 potential big wrecks there that we have avoided.
Well, Evan, this is what happened last week. We had cars everywhere except on the track, but no caution came out.
Yeah, that 87 just got cross-checked on the outside lane, no pun intended, with the Pittsburgh Penguins car. But the 44 just came down and hit him in the right side door, knocked him low, and I think he was able to avoid pit road at those high speeds, so that would prevent him from getting a very extensive speeding in the pits penalty or unsafe entrance. So he'll be all right for that fact. But Ray Rittenauer definitely is going to need a caution, not only to get that damage repaired, but to get back up in contention. And this string of a lot of contact, Shane McKeegan, his car is torn up on both the right and left-hand sides, guys. And now we got trouble in front of our leaders.
And the 94 in trouble there.
Frank Musilia is in it. Caution's out.
Yes, and this caution will probably almost needed, Joe, to settle things down, because things were getting pretty hot, and drivers getting pretty hot under the collar as well.
Yeah, and that kicked off when Frank started to drift up into Sean Turner on the outside, and then they both slammed into the wall, and the cars behind just kind of piled into him. In fact, do my eyes deceive me? Rod Flagg was involved in that. So Rod Flagg fell victim.
Yes, Rod Flagg hit the car full on. That was him hitting the 94. We're seeing it on replay at the moment. That is not a good thing for Rod Flagg. And Brandon Chaburko currently leading. If he knows what has happened there, if his spotters or his crew are telling him what's going on, he'll be having a little bit of a smile there.
Yeah, no doubt. And I was just thinking, right when you guys started mentioning a wreck was happening, that we had totally failed to notice that Brandon had worked his way all the way up into the front and was leading at that point. So he would just masterfully position himself to stay out of all that trouble.
Yeah, he was making that move. I was about to talk about that just when the accident happened. So Brandon certainly at the moment in the box seat, as we like to say. Mark Jorgensen had a big hand in that. Mark Jorgensen was pushing him hard down the straightaways, bearing in mind they're not allowed to push in the turns. And he had a big hand in getting Brandon Chaburko to the front there, Evan. I'm wondering, this is not a race where we have teams, but we do have certain people working with each other or who prefer to work with each other at times.
Yeah, maybe not necessarily, as you said, teammates, but there's going to be guys out there that you would prefer to draft with over some others, so you might work a little bit of strategy together, might, queue up the radio on each other and try to make something happen. So it's always a possibility, but I agree with you when you say that the caution was really needed to slow things down, because it was getting pretty crazy. And I said it was more calm than the initial start of the race, but that last 2-3 laps, everybody was just swerving side to side, and this point right here, now that we're past the halfway point, it'll give themselves a chance to catch their breaths, reset, and then go at this for maybe like a 15-16 lap shootout moving forward.
Well, that is correct. We're on lap 30. It's appropriate that we take probably a short break right now and get our own stuff together, because at the moment we are calling some really, really interesting, but some really, really good and also some really, really risky racing. So we'll be back very soon. Welcome back to the iSuperSpeedway.com final race. We are ready to go green on the next time by. The pace car is coming down the straightaway, and we are on board with the number 54 car of Dennis Wright, currently in 7th place. Brandon Chaburko leads the race. Mark Jorgensen on his outside, who was helping him previously by pushing him. Jared Haggerty still in there. Mark Brown, that is your second row. Then on the third row, Dan Harrington and Larry Kemp. They come now towards the tri-oval out of NASCAR 4. And Evan, another restart, second caution of the day. A very, very good race. 32 laps in and only 15 laps to go.
Yeah, if we thought it was getting pretty aggressive there's 15 laps to go, not only in this race, but in the season. So it's really going to heat up front. Brandon Chaburko, championship hopeful, is going to lead us to the green as the pace car ducks down pit road.
Pace car has left the track, and Brandon Chaburko waits for the green to fly so that he can lead them away on his outside. Mark Jorgensen, the green flag flies right then. Away goes Brandon Chaburko, away goes Mark Jorgensen. Behind Brandon, Jared Haggerty. The two of them immediately link up. The others are still a little way off each other, trying to form their partnerships. And the 54 that we were driving with just previously of Dennis Wright, he has moved up into 5th place. He now goes to the outside, Joe. So the 54, we haven't even spoken about him today, but there he is in what is about 6th place. And just coming up behind him now, the 87 on the inside as well.
And I tell you what, Chaburko was spoiled for choice up front. He was dodging back and forth, trying to figure out which row was the best to go with, and eventually went with the bottom one first for today. But right now he's being challenged on the outside as a couple of cars hook up. That's Mark Brown and Mark Jorgensen Jr. And they actually do touch as Chaburko has side-by-side contact and holds it together. And now it looks like that would be Jared Haggerty, who slides down in front of him to take the lead.
That's right. There was a slight contact, but at this sort of speed, that was not good. We saw Mark Jorgensen duck down behind Brandon Chaburko as if he was going to start assisting him, but now he decides he wants to assist Jared Haggerty. And the two of them make a clean break there, Evan, and 1 and 2, and now they slot down. They go down to the inside lane, putting Brandon Chaburko in 3rd place at this point in time.
Yeah, that's going to shuffle everybody back as we work through the tri-oval here, and they're going to, looks like the 73 is out there by himself. That's Mark Brown. So Mark Brown trying to get in line. I hope he wants to duck in front of Ray Rittenauer. Doesn't look like he's going to get help, so the 54 machine's going to go out and help him. That's going to be Dennis Wright, but top 4 opening up a very small margin, not going to be able to pull away with it because that pack is really going to be able to draft up to them with that huge slipstream that is caused. But for a moment, top 4 single file out with that number 3 machine up the front.
And Joe, the 2 cars involved in that previous wreck there, Frank Basilia and Rod Flagg, they've come back with new cars and they are currently in 7th and 8th place.
Yeah, we were commenting on that during the break of which cars managed to stay on the lead lap, and pretty much all of the championship contenders managed to stay in this thing as, whoa, huge wobble from Frank Busilia there, and he holds it together as everybody behind has to check up from that one. But for a while, Busilia and Flagg were hooked up. Now he's starting to catch up to Flagg once again, see if they can make forward progress, but they pretty much caught that front line. The other car to keep in mind, Rodney Wofford, 3rd in the championship. He started at the very tail of the lead lap cars and is slowly trying to work his way back up through them, currently sitting in 15th last time by the line.
Well, he is not out of it. Nobody is out of it. Dana Osborne, who we saw wrecking earlier on, he had to pit as well. He's back out there, the 7, making some moves. He has got in front of him there, let me see, the 7, he's got the 33 of Larry Kemp just in front of him there. Up front, they're going 3 wide there, Evan. This is risky stuff.
Yeah, it's the 28 in the middle. He's trying to hang on to it. That's Shane McEachin, and they will double file out as the 82 of Dan Harrington, who was leading the outside charge, ducks down in line behind McEachin. But the 57 who leads that outside charge, Jared Haggerty, not a lot of speed coming off of 2, so that stalled out the outside lane. Now that Shane gives him a push down into 3, the outside lane's able to make some progress once again. But Chaburko still leading right now. He's doing what he needs to do, and they say coming into this race, and he had the 6-point advantage, that he wanted to play defense. The best defense is a great offense, as he is sitting right now. The best that he can do at that top spot. Don't count out that 57, though. Jared Haggerty with a nose at the stripe, trying to get it over Chaburko.
And Frank Busilia, who was behind Rod Flagg, Joe, went to the outside. He's got some help there from another driver, and they are pushing hard to get up to the front position again. I like what Frank Busilia has done there. He kind of left Rod Flagg behind, but Rod Flagg wouldn't be concerned by that. He's just running his own race.
Well, Rod Flagg's running out of time. He's got about 9 or 10 laps left to try and get up front. And remember, in this thing, Rod Flagg has nothing to gain by staying back late in the race. He has to be ahead of his competitor to win the championship. And with Chaburko in the lead, although that looks like it's going to change this time by, he's absolutely not going to change this championship. Oh, when they make contact, Chaburko goes down low. We've got a wreck going up high, and it's at the front. Tons of cars getting piled up.
Oh, huge
This is
wreck.
just about the entire field.
Good
who's upside
grief.
down?
And I do think that Brandon Chaburko and maybe Jared Haggerty managed to stay clear of that, or stay ahead
Haggerty's
of that.
in
As
it.
you see the 81 on its lid right there. This is just a huge, huge accident, and this basically defines, I think, the championship for this race, Evan.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but Brandon Chaburko was way too far up the racetrack, like he was in a middle lane, and just hooked the 57 to Jared Haggerty, and Chaburko was able to save it, but Haggerty got into the 28 machine. Rod Flag, guys, is able to avoid this, so he is able to compete still moving forward. But I mean, this was a huge wreck. As Shane McEachin went around, they all piled in front of him. I think it was the 33 of Larry Cant was up on his lid, and Jared Haggerty is very upset over the radio.
Yes, indeed. And in fact, we are seeing some language that we cannot broadcast there, Joe. But certainly that took out a whole bunch of guys. But because it took out so many of them, they'll all be able to come back and get back into the race. However, the two main contenders for this championship, Rod Flag, make that 3. Frank Busilia as well, and Brandon Chaburko are still out there, and they are in the lead of this race at the moment with 40 laps gone and only about 2 or 3 laps left on the restart, or once we get the restart here, Joe.
Yeah, it's going to be a hell of a run for the championship at the end here. You remember how we were talking about Rod Flag and his comfort being in the middle of the pack? Just to show his skills of how heads up he is. As soon as he started to see things go down, he was on the bottom row. He absolutely dove as far as he could inside onto the paved apron and completely missed everything. And that's how he avoided that, even though he was in the middle of the pack, and it took out most of the guys that were around him. So credit to Rod Flag to just have lightning reflexes to know exactly what to do as that situation unfolded. But it's going to be down to these, as you said, about last 3 laps, and it's going to take some impressive driving for us to get this green to the finish, because guys are going to be really antsy to be up at the front.
Well, you know, there's only one place to be this late in the race, and especially even after a caution, and that is in P1, no doubt about it. Rod Flag has to move hard, he has to move fast to try and get ahead of Chaburko. Even if he does, though, unfortunately, with Chaburko finishing in, if that's the way it happens, finishing in 2nd place, that will still mean that Brandon Chaburko wins this championship.
Yeah, Rod Flag again, he needs to beat, and Brandon's been leading laps too, so you're going to have to stretch that to, and he may even have the most, he might have to stretch that to 7, 8 spots that Rod Flag would have to beat him by. Now there's only 12 cars on the lead lap. Chris Jennings, who's on the lead lap, has a lot of engine damage, so I would have to imagine the 088 is going to be coming down pit road at some point, and he just leaves pit road now getting some sort of repairs, but it looks like his quick fixes are all used up, so there is just enough room. There's just enough cars left on the lead lap that if something were to happen to Brandon Churberko, also, guys, remember, if we get to the white flag, there's no more cautions. What if Churberko wrecks going for that win, and, he'll drop down and he'd be scored the last car on the lead lap? This thing is far from over. Rod Flag just needs to keep his foot in it.
Well, Rod Flag will indeed be right behind Brandon Churberko on the restart. They are in P1 and P3 at the moment. On the outside will be Ray Rittenauer, the second, and Rodney Wofford. Joe, we spoke about Rodney being right at the back of the field not that many laps ago. He will actually be on the outside of the second row. And then we've got some guys we have not spoken about at all during this broadcast. Jimmy Todd in the number 18 car will actually be in 5th place. Ron Thompson has come back to be in 6th place. So on this next restart, Joe, Rod Flag, Brandon Churberko, P1, P3, those are your inside line. As we spoke about earlier on, what will he do? Will he push will he push Brandon Churberko to the win? I don't think so.
No, definitely not likely. Although you have to think, if Churberko gets behind Rod Flag, all he has to do, he could just push him to the win if he wanted to. So, I mean, Churberko has the ability to control his destiny at this point. He's the one sitting in the power seat. So I'm kind of keeping my eye on him to see exactly how he's going to play this thing out. He doesn't have to do anything crazy risky. He just has to stay out of the trouble and get to the line within visible distance of Rod Flag.
And you must remember, folks, that Rod Flag, currently sitting in 3rd place, the way things are playing out, very little chance of taking out the championship, did a wonderful thing at the beginning of this race. Brandon Churberko could not connect to the original server, Evan. And what did Rod Flag do? He created a new server and waited for Brandon Churberko to join. What a great sportsmanship move.
Yeah, this race could have been done, and this championship battle could have been done as far as Brandon Churberko goes before it even started. And you talk about how we're going to see Rod Flag line up behind Brandon Churberko, and this is not a short track, so you really don't use the bumper to move somebody here, but I don't expect to see Rod Flag do anything of that nature because of the extreme sportsmanship that him and all the other drivers showed to, again, put up this new session to allow Churberko to even be in this championship battle.
Yeah, great things from the organizers, and I must say from the other drivers, because some of the other drivers could have objected to that happening, particularly guys perhaps like Frank Posilia, Rodney Wofford. Those guys could have objected that Brandon gets given the chance, Joe, but they did not, and that just shows the respect these guys have for each other.
Very much so, and I think you see that a lot in drivers. It's not just in real life, but in online too, that there are a lot of drivers that value and respect that sportsmanship, and tonight was just a perfect display of that. And I think in the end, Rod's going to be happy with the result regardless of who wins it. I think you're going to see guys congratulating each other and enjoying having a good race today. I mean, obviously, we mentioned there were a few hotheads after the last wreck, but for the most part, everybody's just been having a fantastic time out there, putting on a great show for us. And boy, they're giving us a fantastic last round here, Evan.
It's had the excitement, it's had the big one that Talladega comes to be known for, and it has the championship battle that right now sits in the favor of Brandon Churberko, but is definitely not locked up. We're going to be coming to a restart, guys, and it's going to be lap 44. That means 4 to go. I believe that means if a caution were to fly after the green flies, this race would end at that point. So this is your final restart of the season. Don't expect anybody to take it easy.
Absolutely not. And we know that some of the guys are, they're known for being able to get to the front. And one of those guys is Rodney Wofford. Wouldn't he like to make it 3 in a row? And it is possible if he can get the right start on this restart here. As we see, the lights are out on the pace car. when they come around next time, we will get the final restart of this race. And Joe, nobody's going to do anyone else any favors. But having said that, these guys do have respect for each other. So we expect them to race hard, but to do everything in their power to stay clean.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be an episode of Game of Thrones. Don't expect anybody to be guaranteed to be alive by the end of this thing. This, like you said, there's just no loyalties that are going to survive. At this point, it's every man for himself.
And we see now the pace car getting ready to come off. And very soon we will have the restart. Brandon Chaburko in charge of the race. The pace car ducks off. The number 3 of Brandon Chaburko about to take the green flag. I would like you to call this one, Evan.
When we get set, it's going to be 4 to go. The green flag flies. Brandon Chaburko in control, and the 87 does not get going up high. Ray Rittenauer a little bit slow. It's going to give Chaburko and Rod Flag the advantage on the inside down to 1 and 2.
And the number 18 of Jimmy Todd slots in behind Rod Flag. We're going to keep our eyes very firmly on Rod Flag and Brandon Chaburko. Everyone else has no chance now of winning this championship. Just those two, Joe.
Yeah, and we thought we were going to go 3 wide a little bit farther back. A couple guys keep peeking up there, seeing if they can do it, including Shane McEachin. Oh, and Shane McEachin actually passed a bobble up into the wall, and that's going to shuffle him back downwards, although he is not in this thing. He's just looking for a win. So as these guys work their way around another lap, it's still Chaburko up front, followed by Rod Flag in second.
And Rod Flag doing what he has to do. He's got to try and push Brandon Chaburko clear and then try to make a move on him, Evan, perhaps in the very last lap. We are on lap 45. Next time by only 2 laps to go. On the outside, we've got Jimmy Todd. Will they be nervous about Jimmy? Jimmy has not been close to the front ever. Now Rod goes to the outside. Will he get some help from Jimmy? Jimmy goes 3 wide, Evan. What is going on?
Oh, trouble behind him.
We have a wreck just behind
It's off the racing surface.
No
we stay green, more
here.
contact for second.
And another wreck, and as
That'll
we
do
said,
it.
3 wide going to the end. And now we do have a caution. Who is in the lead?
Oh, the 33.
I think it might be Rod Flag.
It's ever so close. I think Chaburko had it, actually. He's pulling ahead.
Yeah, and the timing and scoring of iRacing still showing Brandon Chaburko in the lead, but that could be...
Yes, it was Chaburko.
That could be incorrect, because at the moment when the yellow flag flew, that is what counts. We'll have to wait till they cross the line to see what the result is, but that is the end of the race. They will have to finish under caution now, Evan.
I'll tell you, it is going to be Brandon Chaburko. Rod Flag had at no point had his nose in front of Brandon Chaburko. So not only is Chaburko going to walk away, guys, with his 4th trip to victory lane, but he's also going to be able to walk away with this championship. I'll tell you, Larry Camp, the number 33 car, guys, got hit in that incident and was actually sent over that 10-foot tall catch fencing and out of the racetrack.
Wow. And we're looking at on replay at the moment. We see a car on the inside there on the apron. That's Dana Osborne. Then we see a car spinning off to the outside. To the infield. And then we see the big one happening, the second big one. And you're quite correct. There goes Larry Kemp right over the fence. He got slammed by another car. Lands in no man's land, so to speak. Joe.
Yeah, I was going to say, and if I'm not mistaken, I think this is the track that spurred them to put those fences up when they had a similar incident before the fences, and a car just went off into a parking lot somewhere. Evan, you'll have to correct me if that's not true.
Yeah, a long time ago, down into 1 and 2, they had a couple of cars going over what at that point was just a concrete wall. So I guess maybe iRacing's going to have to heighten up that catch fencing because the 33 cleared it by a good margin.
Well, guys, we are on the last lap under caution. And indeed, it is Brandon Chaburko who wins this race. Will go to victory lane, as you said, Evan, for this one for the 4th time. Rod Flag finished in 2nd place. A great finish from Rod, having started somewhere around 10th or 11th place. So good finish from him. Jimmy Todd, no doubt, will be very, very happy that he finished on the podium in this last race. Ray Rittenhouse looks like he'll finish in 4th place as well. But they are on the very last lap now, going down the back straight there. And Joe, it's been an exciting series. You haven't been with us for all the races. In fact, I haven't been there, but I should perhaps talk to Evan. Evan, you've been here for just about all the races. This has been a very good and a very exciting series, has it not?
It has. It's had the emotion. There's been drivers obviously getting upset at times, and then you'll see, instances like we saw at the beginning of the race tonight where just great sportsmanship when it all comes down to it to allow Brandon Traburco to even race here tonight. And in the end, it's going to correlate to the top 2 finishing this race. They're going to be the top 2 in the championship, where Traburco, and guys, 4 wins. That's a third of these races Brandon Traburco has won. That 3 car definitely knows what he's doing.
Oh, absolutely. There is no question that Brandon Traburco has been the standout driver. He's also been the most exciting driver to watch as we see them coming through the tri-oval now for the very last time in this race and also in this season. And we see now Rod Flag just behind Brandon Traburco there, and probably that is the way they will all finish. So we will take a break, guys. We'll catch our breath. We'll come back and we'll give you the full standings as they cross the line now. And we will also do some driver interviews. Can't wait to talk to some of these guys. Welcome back, folks, to the iSuperSpeedway.com Season 2 at the Super Speedways of Talladega and, of course, Daytona. The season is done, 12 races, and this is how they finished in this last race. Evan?
Yeah, Brandon Chaburko, he's able to walk away with the win. Rod Flagg's going to come home in second. How about Jimmy Todd for a third place result after starting back in 20th position? Ray Ritenour with the second came home in fourth. Rodney Waffer rounded out the top five. Dan Harrington with the sixth place result. Ron Thompson in P7. Jared Haggerty would come home with an eighth place result. He was involved in that big wreck there with about 3 to go. He'll finish as the last car on the lead lap. Doug Sigmund, the number 06 machine, will finish in ninth. Frank Busilia is going to round out the top 10.
And in 11th place, we had Shane McKeechan. Good championship from him. Finished in the top 5, I believe, just outside the top 5. Dennis Wright in 12th place. Mark Brown in 13th place. 14th place brought up by Sean Turner. Josh Hanna, who had a really good season, finished probably disappointing for him in 15th place in this race. Ken Connolly in the 008 machine in 16th place. Dana Osborne, who would have hoped for better in this race, finished in 17th. Larry Kemp. Now, we got to talk about Larry Kemp, Joe. What happened to this guy?
Well, Larry kind of must have been thinking about joining the Olympics or something, because he did some flips and incredible tumbles all the way over the fence and actually left the racetrack in the middle of, I believe it was turn 3. So impressive stuff from Larry. Not the way I think he wanted to finish the season, but still made for possibly some good replay reels.
Oh, yes. He should save the replay and use that for a motivational video on how not to finish a race. But he finished in 18th place. Chris Jennings in 19th. Mark Jorgensen, who was up near the front a lot during this race, finished in 20th place. Tommy Hall in 21st, and bringing up the rear of the field 25 laps down was Jimmy Tolliver. So those are the standings. We do have some of the guys ready to talk to us. Jimmy Todd is there as well. So let us start off, as we said, with Joe talking to Rodney Wofford, and then we'll go to the podium.
Let's see if we can pull Rodney in here and talk to him for just a moment. Rodney, you've managed to finish 5th in the race today and 3rd in the championship. Overall, are you pretty pleased with finishing in the top 3 after a season?
Oh yeah, you got to be pleased with the top 3 with this season for sure. That's the most definite there.
It was some really intense racing from our perspective, even during the early stages of the race. Were you at all nervous with how dicey everybody was, or did you come in expecting that and feel mentally prepared for just a lot of back and forth today?
Kind of a both, but it seemed like I don't know, I've seen a little bit of, I was having server problems on my side, and some other people said they did too, so, both, I guess.
Well, you guys definitely kept our hearts in our throats for a few moments. Congratulations on taking 3rd in the championship, and here's hoping that maybe you can step up 2 steps next season.
Yeah, thank you guys. I'd like to say sorry to, whoever. I'd like to say hi to my brother and my nieces, and hi to my parents.
Great stuff. Well, I believe up next we have Rod Flagg, 2nd place finisher, and I think he is going to be talking with Evan.
No, that is not correct, Joe. If I can jump in there, we do have Jimmy Todd, who finished on the podium. Let's change things up a little bit, and let's talk to Jimmy Todd. He's a late entry into the room here, so let's bring him in. Jimmy, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Well, Jimmy, what a finish. Started in 20th place on the grid for this race, finishing on the podium. What a good race for you.
Yeah, it's definitely crazy. Was not expecting a 3rd out of this. From clawing my way through the B main to get in to finishing 3rd. I can't say enough. That was an awesome finish.
Well, Jimmy, when the race started off and you saw all those cars in front of you, what were your thoughts? You thinking, I'll just ride along, or did you have any idea that you were going to try and push at least to get mid-pack or even further forward?
I definitely wanted to try to see how the race sorted out. After about halfway is whenever I kind of wanted to look to push forward. After the big wreck where I was able to scrape through, that's when I knew I had to go. It was go time for me, and luckily it worked out. That close to the front to try to get a win, racing with Brandon and Rod. That was definitely one of my best moments in sim racing.
Well, excellent stuff, Jimmy. You're not in contention for the championship or anything like that, but certainly to finish on the podium in the company that you were racing with is a great achievement. So thank you for talking to us, buddy.
Thank you guys for having me, and thanks for iSuperSpeedway for allowing me to race with them. Good times.
Okay, now we are going to talk to Rod Flagg. And Rod, I want to start with the enormous sportsmanship that you showed today to cancel the original session and start a new session just so Brandon Chaburko could get into the race. I think that is magnificent. You could have possibly walked away, well, you would have, based on your second place, have walked away with the championship if you'd not done that.
Yeah, that's just, I'm close with Brandon, and I wouldn't have wanted it that way. Every once in a while, sometimes things are out of your control, and don't always get the right thing happening with iRacing and all the technology and things, and that was just the right thing to do. So again, it wouldn't have been fair and would have been legitimate because he obviously had run a great season and had several wins. So yep, that was just the right thing to do.
Yep, and you know what? I do agree with you. I think I would have done exactly the same as you did because it's a bit of a hollow victory when you don't beat the guy who's been running ahead of you in the championship. However, let's talk about this race. So it was a very eventful race, some huge wrecks there. You managed to avoid a few, and one you didn't manage to avoid. You slammed right into Frank Basilia there. Not your fault, of course. He was just there when you were trying to come through.
Yeah, that wreck with Frank, there's nowhere to go. Definitely hit his driver's side there. But we ended up we got coasted the pits and got the reset, and so we were able to definitely get back into P11 and started up in an okay position there on the inside line. I mean, really what I found is the inside line, especially at Talladega, really does help you on the restart. So we were able to make up several positions and just kind of be there. And then that final restart, we really, my real thought was, I'm going to try to help Chubbs as much as possible, Brandon Chaburko, and then there's an opportunity there. I thought Jimmy Todd was going to go with me and kind of push me there, and I might have actually won the race if the 18 would have got my bumper, but he did exactly what he should have and took me 3 wide and ruined the momentum, and then we were 3 wide there when the caution came out, and Brandon just kind of got me at the end there, but just a great way to end it, knowing that Brandon got P1, I got P2, and it's kind of where we're at in the standings, and again, Brandon's kudos to him. He earned this championship with 4 wins, and it's just an awesome thing to have earned. And he's a great driver. He's a pro driver. Love having him on this league, and he's been there from the beginning too. So just appreciate everything, and it's a good run. Can't discount my run. Second place is awesome.
Absolutely. We have been watching you all season, and you are Mr. Steadiness, always starting around the mid-pack and just working your way forward and almost always there at the end. So congratulations on the second place in this race, and congratulations also on what will probably be second place in the championship. That is no mean achievement, and we thank you for putting on this league with your team, and also for the sportsmanship that you've shown. We thank you for everything. So thank you also for talking to us, and hopefully you guys in your season 3, well, who knows, we might be with you guys again.
Thanks, guys. Just appreciate the partnership. You guys have been class acts there. I mean, what you guys do is awesome. So again, just appreciate the what you guys did for us this season, and again, just getting you guys are class acts.
Well, thank you, Rod. We do appreciate that. Alrighty, thank you for talking to us. Now, folks, we are going to talk to the winner of this race and the winner of this championship. And we go down to victory lane with Evan Pasocco and Brandon Chaburko. Go ahead, Evan.
And it's going to end off on a racetrack as it does in the championship standings. As Brandon Chaburko, he picks up race win number 4. And Brandon, you also secured the championship. 4 wins in 12 races. That's a 33% chance that you were putting that Goodwrench Chevrolet in victory lane. How'd you get it done this season?
Well, on lap 39, I came up, clipped Jared's left rear, caused a big wreck. I'd like to apologize for everyone on that. And I've been trying so hard ever since Rod started originally what was Super Speedway Cup for 4 seasons, and now we're on to iSuperSpeedway, and I've been trying. This will be the 6th season. Finally, I got a championship, and yeah, I was just trying to, play it safe tonight, and unfortunately, I wrecked a bunch of cars.
A little bit of drama, you could say, before the race. The original session you could actually not connect to, and it was your fellow competitors, those that were battling against you in the championship, that came to an unanimous decision to start up a new server so that you would have a fair shot at this championship. What does that mean for you?
Oh, it means a lot, man. All the guys at Super Speedway are a great group of guys. That definitely shows, their integrity and everything. I was very pleased that they decided to open up another server.
Tonight's race was no different for you, and every week we call Rod Flag our dark horse. He quietly sits on that inside and picks up spots. We have to say it's a polar opposite for you because you got something for the flair. You like to go 3 wide, you like to work that outside lane, and it's that aggressive, it's that hard driving that was able to get you up front. Was that your approach to tonight's race? I know you knew that it was about a 6-point difference between you and Rod Flag. You started about mid-pack, but you were able to get yourself up front and you didn't look back.
Yeah, I mean, why change, what I've been doing the whole season that's, had me to be able to be so successful and put me in this position that I was in the final race. I figured I might as well keep doing what I was doing, and it paid off.
Well, before we let you go here, I know there's a lot of people you might want to thank, sponsors and shout-outs, everybody who makes it happen for you and the number 3 team.
I'd like to thank Jason Altman Designs for painting up that Goodwrench car that I was displaying tonight. And everybody, especially Rod, for putting on the league for us. And you guys for broadcasting.
Well, I know you said it's iSuperSpeedway Season 2, but for you it's the 6th season here with this group of guys, and I remember broadcasting you guys over a year ago. So again, congratulations on this well-earned championship, and good luck in future endeavors, not only in this league, but in some other racing as well.
All right, thank you, Evan.
Guys, that is your champion and race winner tonight. 4 wins and a points championship to Brandon Chaburko.
Thank you, Evan. Great interview there with the champion, Brandon Chaburko. Well, we have one more in the interview room that we will have a few words with. Joe, let's bring him in. That is Jared Haggerty, who is not a happy boy.
Well, unfortunately, Jared was one of the drivers involved in that final caution accident that caused the final caution. He was in the middle of Doug Simon and Ray Rittenor II when it unfolded. And Jared, I can understand your reasoning for being 3 wide and that. How did that all start to come together, and what are your feelings on that last wreck?
Well, I was looking high, and there was space there in the middle because I saw them start to take it 3 wide, and my only option at that point was go to the middle because they were checking up in front of me, and at that point I saw the opening and just had to go for it, and I pretty much just got squeezed going into 3, and that's all she wrote.
Yeah, it's sad to see that, unfortunately, that meant you were the last driver on the lead lap, finishing 8th. But overall in the season, let's see, you finished 8th in the season, it looks like, as well. So I guess a bit fitting that you wound up there in this race today. Well, what are your feelings on the season overall? Do you think that the racing was good, or do you feel like there's room for improvement for next season?
I mean, it was really a struggle for our team this year. I mean, we were at one point all the way back in 24th position, and it was really, really hard to just make up spots over the course of the season. And coming into this race, I was actually 12th, so picking up 4 spots in the final race, I mean, that's good for me. But looking into next season, Hopefully, we'll have a lot better run. I can actually gain some spots and maybe pull off the top 5, maybe even a championship. But I gotta thank Rod for continuing to throw on in this league, and congrats to Brandon. He was actually really good pushing, but congrats to him in his championship, and I look forward to next season.
Absolutely. Well, before I let you go, are you going to maybe hit up Brandon, see if you can get any tips for moving up the standing next season?
No, man, I ain't gonna bother him on that. My job is always be the aggressor. I always try to be the aggressor when it comes to anything, make my own moves, and go with some of my teammates. But if they want to come with me, that's their choice.
All right. Well, we look forward to seeing what you can do in next season. So thanks for coming and talking to us.
Thank you, gentlemen. Y'all have a great night, and I love y'all broadcasting. I will see y'all actually next Wednesday.
Great stuff. Richard, back to you.
Thank you, Joe. Well, folks, we come now to the end of this broadcast, the end of this season. What a good season it's been. Always exciting racing when you are racing on the super speedways at over 200 miles an hour. You are always going to see even a few things that don't go according to plan. But by and large, I thought it was a good season. I thought the racing was pretty exciting throughout the season. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, most, the NASCAR style series, they'll hit these restrictor plate tracks very limitedly. And with this being the only tracks they go to and alternating between Daytona and Talladega, despite the incidents, these guys know what they're doing. They race these tracks enough, they know how to work that draft, and that's why they can be a little bit more aggressive. And it looks all crazy, but for the most part, they're in control. Now, like you said, sometimes it gets out of whack. You see these, the big wrecks and whatnot, and you'll see drivers get upset with each other over the radio. But I have to say that the defining moment in the season was, again, the sportsmanship that Rod and the obviously him being the league organizer and all the other drivers showed to let Brandon get a second chance. They put up a new room for him to get into, and he evidently walks away with the championship that he's been working for in this kind of series for over a year. So that's got to be the defining moment in the season for me.
Thank you. And yeah, you can't go past that. That is definitely something that will count. Most of the all of the drivers have huge respect for Rod Flag and what they do. And that sportsmanship that he just showed today will just increase his standing amongst the other drivers. Anyway, that is it for us. We would like to thank Rod Flag and his team, the organizers of this league. They did a wonderful job all season and will continue, no doubt, to do a wonderful job in the future. We also would like to thank the makers of various software and hardware that help to make these streams possible. That's iRacing.com, XSplit, Twitch TV, Audio Technica, Behringer, and Ava Media. If you would like to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at www.globalsimracingchannel.com, which is our website. There you will find all our archived races and race highlights, all plus 200 of them. We are also on Twitter at GSR Channel, and we're on Facebook at facebook.com/Global Sim Racing Channel. Major thanks to Dougie Beard for creating the camera sets that we use and you saw during the stream. Very special thank you also to Eric Ekholm, who provides us with a lot of our music. You can find it not only here on GSRC, but in TV commercials, movie trailers, iTunes, and Spotify as well. If you like the music, do tell Eric where you heard it. He is on Twitter at Eric Ekholm. Also, we'd like to mention that Casey Lalonde, who provides music for us also, he will be releasing a new album. And if Joe's still with us, Joe loves Casey Lalonde, we might get him to just say a few words about that. Joe?
Absolutely. The album is going to be released on October 9th. I'm good friends with Casey, but I also am a big fan of his music, and he's been extremely helpful, granting us permission to use lots of his music on our broadcast. It's going to be called Floating Rooms. Definitely go check it out on his Bandcamp at Casey Lalonde.
Thank you, Joe. Well, we have a number of upcoming events. You will have seen that during the breaks that we showed all the upcoming events. Let's run through them. This was the iSuperSpeedway race, all done and dusted. Tomorrow, on Saturday, the 4th of October, we have the MX-5 World Tour with the MX-5s fighting it out at Road Atlanta Short. Also tomorrow we have the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series, 2-hour races. This one will be at Road America, featuring the Mustangs and the MX-5s. On Sunday the 5th, we will have Northwest Majors at Road Atlanta once again, the full track this time, and we will see the Ford GTs, the roof tracks, the Z4s, and also the 12Cs in action. And next Wednesday, on the 8th of October, we will have a new customer with a GSRC, Champion Motorsports. They will be running at Interlagos, and they will feature the Z4s, the McLarens, and roof tracks. So plenty of racing to come. Well, there's always plenty of racing to come with GSRC. Until next time, folks, race clean, race hard, and we will see you out on track.